We're speaking with Justin Danoff, who's really the thought leader on standing up to woke capitalism, standing up for shareholder rights, standing up to make sure that the American corporations are more neutral and not pushing the leftist agenda. Where we left off, we were talking about ESG and stakeholder capitalism. That's happening right before our eyes. Tell us about what's going on, what you're seeing.
Yeah, so every year from the outside in perspective, right, from activist organizations, they file between 400 and 500 shareholder resolutions every single year. At the Free Enterprise Project, working maxed out, I can file probably about 20 a year. So that's the imbalance that corporate America is seeing from the outside. So the voices that they're hearing of their investors are their most radical left-wing organizations. And what they're pushing today is what you're going to see become mainstream in 3 or 4 years. And I'll give a few examples. So currently, they're pushing proposals demanding certain quotas for, quote, non-management employees on the board. Okay, what is that code for? That's code for union members. That's code for the SEIU literally having a voice in the boardroom. And this is going to become mainstream, folks. Take my word on it. You know how I know that? That's because 4 and 5 years ago, what the left was pushing was diversity for corporate boards. And diversity to the left doesn't mean viewpoint diversity or diversity of thought. It's diversity of what you look like, right? Your skin surface characteristics, is literally skin deep, the diversity that the left views. And so that's now mainstream. How do I know that? NASDAQ has gone to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and asked for permission to delist any company from its exchange that doesn't have a board seat for at least that one woman must be on the board and one seat must be set aside for, this is almost comical, an underrepresented minority or a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And Gary Gensler, who will be the new head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, my concern is they're going to rubber stamp that request. And what does that request mean? It means that any exchange in the United States can pretty much ask to delist any company for not getting sufficiently woke on pretty much any issue. So in a few years, I expect the next request will be what the liberal shareholder activists are asking for now, which is, union representation on the board. Because why wouldn't they continue to ask for crazy things as long as the crazy then becomes the mainstream? Well, and so that's where we are.
And speaking of crazy, I mean, the idea is that you have to have a woman or someone who identifies as a woman on the board. It's sufficient. So I mean, I imagine a number of boards are going to say, who's going to identify as a woman here so we stay listed? And the second thing is, when you put the union on the board, you're no longer representing the shareholders. What's that going to mean? It's going to mean that you're going to be pushing for much more money spent on the labor component. It means the union's going to determine what products are sold and what direction the company takes, what they report. I mean, all of these things that are corporate boards intended to look out for the shareholder will no longer be looking out for the shareholder. And if you own shares of that company, there's not going to be representation of your interests. It's going to be a representation of all sorts of liberal causes, especially paying the workers.
And if you want to know, Kevin, how much Wall Street has sold out to the communists in China, look no further than NASDAQ's request. Who's exempt from the minority/LGBTQ requirement? Foreign companies. Because there's no way that NASDAQ is going to have the Chinese companies listed on its exchange be forced to put, what are they going to put, a Uyghur Muslim on the board of a Chinese telecom company, for instance? I don't think so. So just the smacking hypocrisy here is, you can taste it. It's vile, but that's Wall Street these days. They've sold out to China, just like the Biden administration.